let's do some motion tracking. So we got some clips here that we're going to work with to do motion tracking. Let's start with this simple one. So if you put it here, we can see it's a bear with some cubs walking across the screen. That's what we're going to track. We're going to track the bear's face. So let's put it in a timeline. That's the first thing we have to do. Let's drop it in there and switch to the Fusion tab, which is right next to the timeline. And then we have a simple in and out here. We have media in, which is our video, and then out, which is whatever comes out of this this composition that we're gonna make. Anything on this line will modify what comes out. So first, let's do a shift space, and we get this little window here with all the nodes that we can use. So you can type TR, and then we see tracker. But we're going to use a different one. We're going to use a planner tracker. So we're going to add that node. And now, since we had media in selected, it drops it into the line right after it. So this is what we use to generate a bunch of keyframes that will go into a different node, a different kind of transform node. And that'll be what we tie our elements to that will follow the bear around. So we have to make sure we're in the beginning, the very beginning. Click this button here to go to the beginning. We want to be at time 0. So we have a lot of options here. So we're going to use a hybrid point / area. So we can draw a little area that we will track. And then we're going to use the type of motion. We're just going to do a translation. That just means it moves around on the screen. Doesn't change size or rotate or anything. It's just going to move along the screen. Since this bear is mostly moving directly to the right. And that's it. We're going to set everything the same as the default. Output, background, track channel, Luma. And then here's the fun part. We're going to draw a little polygon around the bear's face. Any unique feature that moves along the screen and it stays in view the entire time, and it has unique features. Like this bear's face is a unique pattern that we can track. So we just draw a little polygon around it. And then I'm going to close it. There we go. There's a little polygon around the bear's face. And we have some buttons here. We have a stop tracking button. You can step tracker to next frame. That will move it 1 frame forward. It's a good way to make sure it is tracking. And then we can click this button here, track to end, and it will track all the way until we're at the end of the clip. We can also track backwards. So let's go backwards. And now we got it. We got our tracking. So now we click this button down here, which is create planner transform. Ta-da! Now we have this new node here that contains all the data we just generated. And now we can delete. We can delete this. We no longer need the tracker. And we can add a merge node. And I'll tie this into there. And now we can attach something to this transform. And it will follow the tracking data. Shift space. Then we get this guy. And let's look for some text. Let's go with some text plus. Add that. And now it's down. Now we can add, I don't know, let's add the word, this is a bear. So we're going to label the bear so you know what it is. Let's choose a color. That's a good color. You gotta make sure it's visible on the background of white. Okay, now We have a text node. We can throw it in there. And now it's going to follow along. See? Let's see how it looks. See, it's following the bear. But there is one problem. It's offset. So, that's easy to fix. Let's move this down a bit. And then we're going to add a transform. And now we can move it to where we want it. Right above the bear. How about that? And now let's play it. Excellent. The bear is being followed. See, it even goes up and down with the head. It's following the nose, basically. Wonderful. Alright, that's done. Let's go back to the timeline. Let's do another clip. This one. How about this one? This time, the camera is moving. It's a nice dolly shot. The camera is moving instead of the object in the view. So let's make a new timeline. Create it. There it is. And now we're going to go straight to the Fusion tab. Just like last time, we're going to do Shift Space to get this window. And then we're going to search for the tracker, planner tracker. There it is. Okay. Now, if you look at the video we got, let's make it a little bit bigger. And move across the screen. There is a little object right here in the middle of the screen on the rock that we can track. It's kind of a different color than everything else. It's good to find a unique feature. It makes it easier to track. So let's do another hybrid point area. This time we're going to do translation. And let's draw a little square around this object here. There, we got a little square right there. Now let's just track it. Let's step forward one frame. Another frame. Another one. Looks like it's tracking. So let's track all the way to the end. There we go. We're tracking. Oops. Looks like it jumped there at the end. So that means we need to refine our polygon. So let's go back to the beginning. Delete all tracking data. Okay, we're gonna try this again. This square is gonna get a little bigger. So we have more area to search within. So we lost track of the object at the end there. So let's try it now. Step forward. Let's track all the way to the end. Let's see if it stays. There you go. That time it stayed. We did not lose track. Now we're going to go backwards. Alright, looks like we have good tracking. Now we click this button down here. Create planar transform. And now we have the data. Excellent. Let's press delete to get rid of the tracker. No longer need it. Let's bring this down here. Let's add a merge. And I'll tie this into the merge. Now we have the same thing as we had before. We have a transform node here that will move any object we attach to it. So let's put another put another text node. You can put anything you want, but text is just a good example. A lot of times you want to put text on something in the scene and have it follow whatever object it's attached to, or just stay in one place while the camera moves. So it looks like it's in the scene. So text, it's just, we'll call this, water. Yeah, that's water. Let's make it blue. Blue water. And last time we had to move it, so let's add a transform node between that and the tracker transform that we have here. Now we have the word water. Okay. We have transform 1 selected. So we're going to use the regular transform node to move the word water somewhere interesting like there. And now we deselect everything and play it. Let's see what happens. Look at that. Looks like the word water is just floating there in the world. The world of the stream. Alright, that's a simple way to track things. Let's move to another example. Let's look at this video here. It's a video over the shoulder of somebody looking at his screen. A little phone screen. And the screen is green, so we can use a chroma key to put a scene in there. And it also has little tracking marks, which will help us track it. Without those, you can just use the corners of the phone. That works just fine. Let's make a new timeline using a selected clip. There it is. Okay. Let's go to the Fusion tab. Okay, we have our simple in and out here again. Let's make sure we're at the beginning at our reference frame. Now with media in selected, media in 1 represents our input video. We're going to do shift space. We're going to type into this box here PTRA, and there's our planner tracker. We're going to add it in there. Now we need to draw our polygon. Now we need to set to a tracker viewpoint, since we have points that we're tracking. And now we have motion type. Let's do translation, rotation, scale. Okay, now let's draw our polygon. Let's start over here. I'll make a triangle around 3 of these points. 3 of these tracker points. I think we got it. Okay. Close that. Let's move that around a little bit to include it a little better. Okay, now we have... Let's include this one a little bit better too. Drag that over. There we go. Alright, let's step forward 1. There we go. It caught our 3 points of interest. So let's track all the way to the end and see how it works. Very good. Trackers are tracking. Alright, let's track it to the beginning now. We're going backwards. Okay, it looks like it calculated. Now let's create planar transform. Okay, then we can delete that. Press delete with the tracker node selected. And now we have all our data right here. Excellent. Next, we need to do the chroma key. Let's get rid of the green. So select media in 1, do shift space, that we can search again. Search for a chroma key. So CKY is the shortcut for chroma key. So next time you can use that. Let's add it. Okay. And our color range, it's green. So let's bring up the green range all the way up until you just don't see any green. That should work. Okay, we chroma keyed it out. Now let's figure out what we're going to put in there. We can use this one here. We're going to bring it in. And if we put it in our left view, you can see it's a nice overhead, the river going through a forest. So now we're going to use a merge to put it in there. But first, let's go ahead and disconnect this. So click on that and disconnect it. Now we're going to have a merge starting from media in 2. So it ends up in the background. So merge node, then I'll put that up there, bring this in there, and this goes out. And there. Now that's behind the phone layer. And now let's disconnect that again, because we need to use the transform so it tracks along the scene. Bring that in there. And then we're going to add our own transform. Plug that in there. And we have everything again. Everything's all together. Now let's just change the size of the video so it fits better within the frame. So we're going to shrink that and then rotate it a little bit so it's kind of matches the phone. You can shrink it down a little bit more. A little bit. Alright, and then we can just drag this over. Alright, it's almost fitting. Let's bring it down a little bit so it gets that bottom corner. And there we have it. Let's deselect everything and play the video. Look at that. It's following the screen. It looks like it's in the phone. Imagine what you could do with that. And that's that. That's how you do tracking. That was 3 different examples of motion tracking in DaVinci Resolve.